So I'm Josie Gaylor, and along with Lynn Perrone, I'm co-chairing the Trinity's Campus and Mission Committee, which we fondly call the CMC. So we're here today for the first of a series of town hall meetings where we're going to discuss Trinity's campus plan. So you'll notice in our title slide here we have the word reset, because we heard you at the annual meeting and the meetings after about the different campus plans that were presented, that they weren't quite right, and we weren't thinking about it in the right way. So we realized you were right, and we are going back to the drawing board. So that's what today is about. Okay, so our agenda is I will introduce the CMC and our deliverable, which is going to be a master plan for campus. We'll do some visioning work, which I hope will be fun. Then Lynn will take over and run through the structure of the CMC and the various subcommittees, many of which have already launched, and she'll update you on their activities. And then we'll end with your role, which is very, very important. Okay, so the CMC has 10 members, and if you would, actually we'll see to the next slide. I'm going to have them all stand up in a second. But the CMC was created in April of this year to address the congregation's request for a more holistic and mission-driven approach to the campus planning, right? So taking into account, at least at that time, it was three main things. One is the Vision 2030 work that was done, the aging Montgomery House, and the school's request for space. Right? So these are three issues that have come up that we need to address. So the CMC reports to the vestry, and our mission is to the right here in green, and I'm going to read it. The CMC's mission is to develop a widely embraced and financially feasible master plan for the Trinity campus that supports the church's mission, vision, and programs within a 20 to 30-year planning horizon. That 20 to 30-year planning horizon is important. All right, so now if the CMC members who are here would stand up and just wave for everybody. We've been hard at work for a couple months now. Lynn encouraged us,
There are handouts.
Yeah, so there are handouts of all these slides. If you're having any trouble reading maybe what's on the screen, there are handouts there, and you're welcome to take those home with you. I would encourage that. So you'll notice we have an email address here, Trinity Campus, all one word, at trinitymenlopark.org. We would encourage you to email us at any point over the next 15 months, which is how long we think we'll be doing our work, with concerns, fears, hopes, ideas, encouragements. Like, we want to hear it all. So encourage you to use that email. All right, so going back to the work that was presented at the annual meeting. In case you're wondering, are we building a new Montgomery House like those drawings that we showed you? Maybe you're wondering, is the school going to consolidate, remodel Trinity Hall and consolidate here? So the answer to those questions is we have no idea, because we're starting over, starting from scratch. So to the extent that many of us have those images in our minds, we'll just put them out of our minds for now, and we're starting from a clean slate. So this time we're trying to think more holistically, taking a campus-wide scope, right? Not doing one piece at a time, but sort of thinking about the whole thing as one big picture. And our initial focus is going to be discernment, right? Because in order to know what we should build, we need to know where we're going. What's our vision for Trinity? What do we want to be in 25 years? And then our master plan will just naturally flow from that. Okay, so quickly, what is a master plan and what is it not? A master plan is a framework that aligns the vision, ministry, and space. It's a tool for decision making across time, and it's a way to help architects, leaders, and the congregation stay aligned. So a master plan is not a commitment to immediate construction. So in 15 months, we're not going to be breaking ground here. It's also not a set of finalized drawings or pricing documents. We won't have that level of detail. We will, we hope, know what we're building, who's on campus, and have a very rough idea of what the design would be, but not detailed ideas. So some of you may be wondering, does Trinity really need a master plan? Why do we need this? So our campus has really reached a tipping point. The facilities are aging, right? We have the problem of Montgomery House, which requires more and more money every year to keep it going. Space is tight. We've got a Mommy and Me program on campus in a school, and they are growing and would like more space. And times have changed, right? Like this, we weren't set up in this space to live stream it, unfortunately, because we don't have the right technology. So times have changed, we need new space. We also have this once-in-a-century opportunity across the street, which Jude mentioned in the sermon, 1,000 new residential units going in over there. So it's a big deal. So we need a long-term strategy that's going to help us optimize the campus to serve the needs and the goals of our community over this 20 to 30-year planning horizon. All right, so Trinity campus history. I'm not going to go through all of this, but I want to touch on the highlights here. In 1903, Trinity Church bought 6 acres. So all of the land between Oak Grove and Ravenswood along Laurel. So what is now 2 blocks, we owned the entire thing for $6,000, believe it or not. Sounds like a pretty good deal, huh? In 1914, we built Montgomery House. And then in 1924, something interesting started happening. Trinity started selling off its land in parcels. So the vestry asked me recently, and this continued for 20 years actually. The vestry asked me recently, why did they do that? And so thank you to Robert Wendon and Jeannie Thomas, who looked it up in Lift Up Our Hearts, which is a book written about Trinity's history. And they found this quote, and I'm going to read it. If it took a sale of 2 lots a year to keep things going, the forlorn parish, that's us, could keep alive as long as its real estate lasted. So what does that mean? That means Trinity fell on hard times. And its survival required selling land. So flash forward to today, and we've got 2 acres left, right? So of that 6 acres, that's all that remains. And the average age of our buildings, believe it or not, is 70 years old. So this is just a visual of what I told you, which is that we started with 6 acres, and now we're down to 2. So the CMC is very aware that this 2 precious acres that we have left are primely located and extremely valuable, and that we want to steward them well for future generations. All right, so that was looking to the past. Now let's turn to the future. What is our guiding vision, right? We need a vision in order to make decisions. So looking 20 years ahead, it's interesting to think that anything we build will be here much longer than that. Probably will be here for 70 to 100 years. So the CMC has been really wrestling with what is our vision? We don't have a clear vision for this far out. So what do we look to? We are looking at 3 things. One is the Parish Profile that we put together in 2022, which many of you were involved in. We're looking at the Vision 2030 work that was done. That's a nearer term vision, but very important. And then the CMC also has done some research to understand what are the trends, what's the outlook for the year 2050, globally and then locally. What's the context in which we're going to be designing these buildings? So what I'm about to show you is very much a work in progress. So I appreciate your patience with that. We do not have a crystallized vision at this point. But the reason we're showing it to you now in this sort of messy state is that we really want your input, right? We want you to be involved in helping to craft this vision. Okay, so the first piece I mentioned was the vision from the 2022 Parish Profile. And for those of you who aren't here, this is the document that we put together, kind of expressing who are we, who do we want to become, when we called a new rector, and Jude eventually answered that call. So 125 parishioners shared their hopes and dreams for Trinity's future. So at that time, some of the themes that emerged were, we wanted to see Trinity become a vibrant, happening place where members would come for spiritual nurture and fellowship, and the whole local community would come to learn, reflect, serve, connect, and enjoy. Some focus areas that emerged in the Parish Profile. There were 3: families, diversity, and relevance. So I think the Christian nationalism class that Father Edward, I don't know where he is, that he just taught is a great example of relevance, where we're leaning into that, right? There was an issue that was popping up in the cultural conversation related to religion. Edward developed a class, we offered that, it was very successful, had a lot of Trinity parishioners engaged, but we also had people come in from outside of Trinity, and some of whom have become members here at Trinity. So the other thing we're looking at is the Vision 2030 work that was done, thanks to Margaret Perrone and her team, getting ready for Parkline. So the vision statement that emerged there, and again, this is a nearer term vision statement, and I think is pretty close to who we are today. Trinity is an affirming Christian community that nurtures connection across generations, fosters a deep spiritual life, and delights in curiosity, creativity, and service. And they identify these 7 pillars, which you can read here, for areas of focus. So the CMC wanted to think a little further out, right? This year 2050. And so believe it or not, there's a whole profession of people who, this is what they do for a living. They sit around and think about what is the year, 2050 gonna look like. So we actually dug into some of that research, and none of this is gonna surprise you, but some of the themes that emerged are, in the year 2050, we will very likely have much more AI in our lives, many more robots doing a lot of the work that humans currently do today. There'll be more climate disruption, and interestingly, globally, we're expected to have an aging population due to increased longevity. So looking here locally, the CMC identified some themes that we believe emerge in the year 2050. One is just increasing cultural diversity as the tech industry here continues to attract global talent to this area. Increased urbanization, because housing prices are high, we need more housing, and so as evidenced with the planning for Parkline, we're gonna have more big buildings around us. We could expect continued high housing prices, just because this is such an attractive place to live. And then, because of that, many young families, we believe, will continue to struggle to live here. Okay, so that may seem a little doom and gloom, but we believe Trinity has a unique role, an important role to play in that future, right? We have this ancient, beautiful liturgy, but we combine that with a modern intellect and a modern awareness of different issues. The CMC is seeing church as an antidote to this world full of AI and robots, where people feel disconnected from one another, right? Because what is church? Church is a place where real human beings come to connect with one another and build community. We've also been thinking about how Trinity today really does support young families. We have, as I mentioned, a school on campus, Trinity School, and we have CFI, Mommy and Me program. So those institutions are really supporting young families. As we see this area become grayer with an aging population, do we want to double down on being maybe an island of youth in this sea of gray? It's a question. Putting it out there to you. We also see ourselves as buildings go up around us, we're sort of this pastoral green oasis. Do we want to keep that, right? Be a respite from the urban density around us. And then, as the community around us becomes more diverse, culturally diverse, what are the opportunities we might offer to people who are coming from faraway places and looking for connection here? Okay, so I've been talking a lot. Now it's time for you all to share what you think of all that. And a couple things. We've got a handout in front of you, and Lynn is holding that up. So rather than ask you to look back through all those slides on the vision, those 4 slides, we put it all onto one page. So the bolded words are the ones that we think are sort of, potentially these elements of a vision. So I'm going to ask you 3 questions, and we'll have 5 minutes. I'm going to pass the mic. We'll have 5 minutes to answer each one. It's going to be what resonates, what doesn't resonate, and what's missing. So we'll start with what resonates. And try to keep your comments brief, because I want to get to as many people as possible. But yeah, let's start with what resonates. Go ahead and raise your hand.
Maybe another CMC person could raise it this much.
Thanks, Josie, and thanks for all the work you put into this. One of the things that resonated with me was the last thing that you said about green space amidst all the building. It's something I hadn't thought much about, but I think it's important to keep that in mind.
Don't be shy. All right, we'll hear from Elaine, and then
I love the idea of this being an oasis for young families, but I also feel like it should be an oasis for older people too, especially if there are going to be even more of them.
great point. Go ahead, Lori.
What resonated with me was this notion of human connection. Rather than just our screens, I find myself on my phone a little bit too often. And I love being at Trinity and having hugs at halftime. The peace.
Any other things that resonate in particular?
Something that resonates is that we're trying to embrace change and anticipate change.
Can you say it again louder?
Something that resonates is we're trying to anticipate and embrace change.
Good, so embracing change.
What something that resonated for me is families. I remember when I came to Trinity, and the kids were small, and they became part of this community. And so, it's great that we're keeping that alive.
So families.
What resonates with me is the ancient, beautiful liturgy of the modern intellect, the lifelong Episcopalian. It's heartwarming to come in and hear the same liturgy that feels change a little bit that I heard when I was a child.
Keep the microphone close to your mouth because Roy is taping for later, so speak up. Thank you.
I'd like to commend the approach that you're taking, open and honest, and the character that it shows in being willing to step back from a previous view and recognize the feedback from us all. And I think that's a powerful building block of the culture of this parish. That you're flexible and you listen. Thank you.
There's a lot of wisdom in this room. You just need to listen.
Something that really resonates with me, and it was already said, but it's family and bringing youth in and bringing family and the multi-generational aspect. I think we're starting that, and it's really exciting, and it's just wonderful to think of the possibility of that growing.
Thank you.
Hard to squeeze in here. One thing that I haven't seen yet, but it's really important to me, here, Diversity, cultural diversity. One of the things, I've been here forever, and I've seen this community change. And basically, one of the things that I've noticed is, especially now, with the diversity that we have in terms of bringing people in, is welcoming those who are different. So to me, welcome neighbor is really sums it all up. You're welcome here, and we love you.
Yeah, like Jude's sermon, welcoming the stranger.
That this church be a refuge for the community that is around the church, that provides a place in times of disaster, and also the grounds be a place where people, when they are feeling awful, terrible, can come and just walk and look at the beauty of the campus and be restored.
Well, we talked about how Edward's class brings a lot of people in. I think another thing that brings a lot of people to this church is music. It is outstanding, and it seems like there's been a real push to include more programming, outside programming, and bringing people in. I think that's a great opportunity.
Right, we probably have time for one, maybe two more.
Hi. Francis and I came in from having been through quite a few other churches around the country. And I think part of the larger context in which this effort is going is what is, if you will, the image of the Episcopal Church, and who are we, and how do people see us and know us. And as I think any reader of the news these days, I think we need to be very aware of real pushback that's there against elitism. And this church is, this particular group is remarkably in its openness. This we learn, this we know. But we have been through too many churches, Episcopal churches, where elitism is really part of their image, part of their way of being, part of their reason for being. And I just think we need to keep aware that yes, we can talk about diversity as being diverse, racial, ethnic, geographic, whatever, sexual, whatever. But another piece of the diversity that we need to keep there is, if you will, what these days would be called an anti-elitism perspective. We're not just, I don't mean any disrespect because I have many relatives belonging to the DAR, but that's not the image that we want to make for ourselves. That's not our brand. But I think we have to be a little bit defensive about it. Okay?
Great, thank you. All right, we'll do one more, and then we're going to move to what doesn't work.
So what resonated to me was the connection with the school. And I think my perception has been a lot of times we think of ourselves as a lessor to the school, and the school's kind of a lessee here, and we're trying to react to their needs and whatever. But if we could vision with them and have the vision of the school be part of our visioning and work together on it, then maybe we could find a better solution of how they use our campus and how we can use the rest of it the way we want to use it.
Great, thank you all. It's really helpful to hear of the things you put forward in your own ideas, what resonates. Now I want to move to something that might be a little more difficult for people, which is what doesn't resonate. And we want you to be really honest, right? We can't be successful together if we aren't honest. So what we put out there to you, what do you not like? What is not Trinity?
Well, this is not a not Trinity concern, and it's not a dislike, it's a concern. Actually, I think it's a very Trinity thing. We have our little parcel of 1.9 acres. We have big dreams. We have multiple stakeholders. We want to be an island of green in the midst of all these big tall buildings that are coming. We have a lot of programming needs, or we hope to have, that's going to require a lot of building space. I'm looking at two things. One, probably everybody in this room has a different personal utility for the different programs and things we should use versus open space, and how we resolve that, I think is an interesting question. And then the other one, I think I just forgot the other one. I forgot the other one, sorry. That's one.
Thank you, Nancy, that's a good one. It's attention, right?
Yeah.
Thank you. The statements that we've seen so far are anchored on place. And I think we have to engage that issue and challenge it. I don't think Trinity is just a place. And in this world, it's very dynamic. It's got all sorts of artificial dimensions to it, the multiverse. And in that, I think what is the essence of Trinity, its brand, is its people. And we might have a place that we come to from time to time, but the real place is with others. So I think one of the anchoring concepts that needs to be given much more presence in what we're doing is how we enable us to engage each other where the other is. And the other is not here most of the time. I would argue that the invisible members of this parish are the ones in existential crisis.
Thank you. I, for one, welcome our new Rebecca overlords. Just kidding. Pop culture reference. I bumped up against two things in this that made me feel a little, I don't know, an island of youth in a sea of gray. I feel like the gray amid our island of youth is a really important feature, and has been for me the entire time I've been at Trinity. And so I want to make sure that we're not accidentally implying something about the people we will eventually be. That we embrace our aging community and create a space for our aging community to come together, especially as we recognize that people lose a lot as they get older. They lose partners, they lose family that can't live close by anymore, et cetera. And the other thing I just wanted, as somebody who is a housing advocate, a green oasis in the urban landscape, I feel also, for me, I just want to be careful that we not describe denser housing that can be compact and taller, often surrounded by trees, as something that is scary or super negative. I think it might just, there may be more creative ways to reflect on how that can enhance our community. So that's all. And I still think we should be oasis.
Great, we have one more minute, so I'm going to take two more. I'm going to come here and then to you, Marty.
A parallel to the many wish list items is a plan of finance and the staff to make it possible. So long range, there needs to be a real focus and a plan for financial and capital improvement. So we don't have to ever consider selling off that venture.
No more songs. I'm sorry, what was that last line?
You don't have to sell it.
No more sales. Okay. Okay, Marty, and then we'll go to the last question.
I very much like the way this has come together, and I love the focus on being open looking at the future, being open to diversity in all sorts of ways, including the young and the old. And I think that, to Katie's point, we all love knowing people of different ages here, and celebrating that is really huge. To that end, I would really like it if you moved the first point, ancient, beautiful liturgy, and modern intellect, to a different spot. Because for me, I have often felt that the churches were all about themselves, and that ancient liturgy, and you gotta like it, and you gotta come here and do all this, ancient liturgy kind of stuff, is very different from being focused on the community. And if that old elitist stuff happens to appeal to you, great. If it doesn't, you can worship in a slightly different, more open, AI robotic way, maybe even.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, last question. We'll take 5 minutes, and then we're going to do something a little creative. So last question is, what is the last question? What's missing? What did we totally miss here?
So I know we want to be at a really high level at this point, and I don't want to distract from that. As somebody who's done a lot of master planning for a living, I think that something that's missing here is constraints. So I didn't see anything about allowable land uses for this site, political risks around permitting. I mean, we don't need a lot of detail, but I do feel like we need to know what's possible before we start envisioning what we might want to do.
Yeah, good point. And just to answer a little bit, we know a little bit, and that's changing because the cities are allowing more density. So we know how high we can go up, et cetera. So we have a little bit of that, but it's a really good point. We probably need to understand better what those constraints are.
So one thing that I love about Trinity is how we aren't just, it's a little bit, it's already been said a little bit, but how we don't just focus on ourselves and what we're doing here and our sense of refuge, but we also radiate out into the community. And I think I'm not seeing that radiance in here, the outreach that we do, the care and justice work that we do. And I think that could, I don't know where exactly to fit it in, but that seems like a really important part of who we are today and who I hope will be.
Great point, Elaine.
Maybe we're not at this point yet, but I'm not seeing a focus on our community needs in terms of housing for an associate rector, I mean some practical things like that. Thinking about what we as a church community might need versus what the schools might need. Is it time to think about that yet, or does that come down the line? But I do feel like it needs to be part of the equation.
It's actually a really good segue to our next exercise, but we can take a few more comments on this one if there are things that you think we're missing. Okay, let's move to the next one then. So this is a little creative. You good?
I actually have a question. The parish profile that we use that caused you to want to call us and answer our call, focused a lot on this vibrant town square, basically inviting the outside community into our special campus. And I just, in the comments, I don't have a real sense, how do y'all feel about, okay, there's 1,000 units over there, I don't know, is that 2,000 people, 2,500 people? Do we want this to be a magnet for them? Do we want to provide programming that's relevant to them? Do we want them to include our campus as part of their home experience?
I have a response to that, which is we joined, I think, after that profile was complete, so we didn't, but that was not what drew us to this church. But I'll be honest, this week I joined the Elks Club because they have stuff going on the week. And like, we don't always for folks who work during the day or people who have kids and need childcare, that kind of thing. And every time I go down there, I'm like, man, I wish this was Trinity, because I like Trinity better than these people. You know, all that's another one, it's fine. But I love that idea of a vibrant town square where we're bringing people in to what we have to offer as a community, while still retaining what we love about our community, because I think that that is what a lot of people are looking for at this time. So. And you're all invited to the Elks. They have a pool. I have a guest pass now.
They have bars. Very important. Any other responses to Lynn's? Do you want to do a quick hands up? Yeah. Can we do raise your hand? This idea of a vibrant town square, bustling, part of Menlo Park. Do you like that idea? Raise your hand. Okay, definitely more than half. All right. Actually, raise your hand if you do not like that idea. Okay, good. Thank you for being brave, for raising your hand in the minority there.
I just had an interesting observation just this last week, and my wife reminded of in Inverness and Renovation Station. And there's a church that died up there, but they turned it over into a community center, and that thing was thriving. So it seemed like there might be a way that you could kind of mix the two and keep the community more deeply involved.
Yeah. Okay, 2 more on the minutes.
I didn't raise my hand for either of those because I think what I'm thinking is I love the idea of bringing more people here, but I think we just have to be cognizant of keeping our eye on the ball of what we really want to do. That really our mission is not to make the new development happen. We like them to participate with us in the things that we do and do well, and that our community enjoys. So we're bringing people in to share and to make the things that we do more vibrant, essentially.
I think it's important not to try to replicate what the city is providing. The city is providing so many of these exact same things, of which I've partaken many, many times. Perhaps we could provide scholarships to broaden what the city is able to do, because we do have to pay for those programs for many of them. But they are superb, and we don't have to recreate what they're doing. But we should support it, because that's ongoing. And the other long-term, 10,000 people or 5,000 people across the street is a long-term.
Great. I see David's hand here.
Thank you. I was wondering if you have already, we could help create a list of the kinds of services provided and used in communities. In other words, what are the general needs, apart from health care, worship sites, municipal management? Many of those already have locations. The high school has a great place for performances. But I wonder if you're thinking of a place that people can gather and be productive and do things. If there's one of the big things that's missing, I think, is places where like nonprofits who may share the objectives that we have. We have this place to meet regularly, which is fully equipped with Zoom, so they can be highly productive. Be a great range of people interested in everything from climate to housing, whatever it may be. Something like that, I can see that we could provide the meeting places multiple of quality.
Yeah, so 2 points there. One is what's the need, and then this idea of nonprofits, resource center.
And as people were talking, especially Annie, it made me think of Field of Dreams, build it and they will come. And I think if we build it for what we like the poetry or different things, people will come, and the more we do it, the more the reputation and our name gets out there. So I don't think we need to necessarily market to across the street. I think we just need to do what nourishes us and what feeds us and what's good for us, like housing nonprofits, or making our doors open for that. But offer these programs and they will come. Okay, great.
If I could build on what you just said. I think about the early church, and I'm talking about the very early church, I'm not talking about the Roman church. It was a small community of a few who were living in adverse times, constantly challenged, having to adapt and protect and grow each other. And while, obviously we live in a somewhat different context, those dynamics still exist. So there's not a single solution for all time. We are engaged in a constant dynamic of reinvention around our need as a community, as a parish, as a small Christian group looking to be a survivor and robust and capable of contributing. So to your point, I think you can't be good for others without being good for yourself.
Good. Let's wrap up on that note and move into something. Lynn, did you feel like we got enough on that?
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, last thing on this visioning is you get to be creative. There's blank note cards in the middle of the table. Please grab one and grab a pen. There should be one for everybody at the table. So I'm going to give you 5 minutes on your own to think and to write. Visioning for Trinity's future. So I'll give you a few prompts, but you don't have to answer these particular prompts. But everyone got what they need? So the idea is to close your eyes, think about the year 2050, imagine Trinity is wildly successful, we're thriving. What does that look like? What's happening on the campus? What impact are we making? Whose lives are we changing? Describe it. And we're going to collect these at the end, but I'll give you 5 minutes starting now. Steve has something there.
Take that one. All right, you take that one. Don't mind my fingers.
So you've got one more minute, if you could wrap up. What you're writing. Okay, as you wrap up, we would encourage you to write your name at the bottom. You don't have to, but it helps us. And
You can't recognize your handwriting.
let's let people share, and then we'll collect them. So no one has to share, but if you are excited about what you wrote and wanted to share with other people.
Okay, I'll share. In 2050, Trinity is bustling. We have regular arts, education, social, and outreach opportunities that draw in both the faithful and the curious. We are a place where people feel at home, a place where folks know and see each other and feel affirmed, challenged, and refreshed. We are known in the broader community as a kind, faithful, caring, engaged, and hopeful congregation. We are a beacon, not a bunker. We love God and our neighbor and inspire others to do the same.
Wow, you're hired. Anyone else? Oh, we've got someone who's willing to share. Thank you.
Multifaceted youth program, multi-denominational, maybe even at times multi-faith.
Cool. Allison.
As we grow, offering other worship styles, because not everything feeds everybody's soul. So it'd be nice to have the ancient liturgy for me, and something more open or a different language for people that feeds their souls. Is awesome.
Great, thank you. Anyone else like to share? We'll read every single one of them. But if you want to share it with the group, this is the time. Okay, great. Roseanne. Thank you, Moni.
I just wanted to share one tiny piece of mine, given a lot of the energy, which I'm hearing and I love, but I also hope that the campus is so bustling that it is no longer an oasis or a place where people can find music.
So that tension between bustling and busy and quiet and contemplative.
What came up for me was thinking about, as we talk about connection, what a theme that came up for me in the earlier notes, but I hope in 20 or 25 years from now that when anyone reaches out to us, whether they walk into the office because they happen to be walking by or they send an inquiry through the website, that a real human being connects with them like within 24 hours. And that it's not an AI maze voicemail, but it's like tell me why you're calling, and we really connect them. So whether they encounter us for 5 minutes or 5 years, that they are struck by the humanity and the warmth and the generosity of time in whatever that initial few contacts looks like.
That's beautiful.
Okay, good. I think I'll hand it over to Lynn, who's going to talk more about the nuts and bolts of the CMC.
Thank you, Josie. Well, thank you all for your generous inputs. We have been doing a lot of work, and I just want to bring you up to speed on who's doing what and what they're doing. So these are the subcommittees that have, by and large, formed already, working under the umbrella of the Campus and Mission Committee. We are not the decision makers. We are the organizers, facilitators, reconcilers, communicators, etc. These groups are focusing on what our needs are, and our job is to reconcile all of this. So we started, as Josie said, in April. Most of these activities have already started. Some of them will come later. The two in red are really critical, and we'll spend a little bit more time on them today, because we can't really do any planning until we know who will live on our campus. That's the partner reviews. And a proposal was made in January that we look into doing significant affordable housing on our campus. And that would have a huge impact. And so we kind of needed to know where we were with that idea too. So those will be addressed. Oh, by the way, Jude has a sabbatical coming up next spring and early summer. Well earned. But that will also perhaps impact our ability to finish on time. We'll see. So the affordable housing team, which is headed by Katie Berguzzi, who's active within our community in the housing area. Daniel Colvard, who are you here today, Daniel? I don't think he's out of town. He's an architect and who's actually done one affordable housing project in his career, and then Haiti and David Sauerwein were involved on this team. So we really ended up defining it as 3 options. One, option A, is significant affordable housing, owned by the developer, funded by the developer through the massive many ways that such things are funded, built by the developer and managed by the developer. So we would not be the landlords. We actually, our team met with sort of the leading low-cost housing developer on the peninsula, and they put forward a proposal. They need at least 40 units to be able to get the kind of funding they need to do such a development. It takes 5 to 7 years, once you start thinking about going in this direction, to see the end results. One that caught our attention rather strongly is that it would require seeding about half of our land through either sale, donation, or a 99-year lease, or maybe a 70-year lease, but a whole long time. And based on that, there are churches, other churches in other geographies, that have massive parking lots. This would not be us. That have no people. And so they are doing the right thing, and they are developing affordable housing on their properties. Our conclusion between the CMC and the vestry, sort of just how people felt about it, is that this is not a particularly good fit for Trinity's campus. That with the 2 acres we have, we're not in a position to see it happen. A second option, option B, looks a lot like sort of what we have now. We have 2 apartments, for those who don't know, upstairs in Montgomery House. And those are effectively rented out at below market rates right now, partly because they're not in pristine condition. But one could have a policy that one wanted to put them out at below market rates. And such housing could also be used for clergy housing, who unfortunately sometimes qualify for below market rate housing. So that option we feel is still on the table. We don't yet know what we might build, what we might take down, but if we were to build a new Montgomery house, we would look at whether it makes sense to include some apartments in that for a variety of reasons, including clergy housing. Option C, which is really orthogonal to this, is to say that we are citizens who live in an environment where housing is one of our #1 issues in our state and in our community, and we should be good citizens, and we should understand this issue and be able to take action on this issue, whether or not we build something on our campus. And so the idea here is that Care and Justice would add housing to its scope, and we would do programs to educate ourselves and the community. You know, it'd be one of our programs to come in and learn about affordable housing. It's a very complex topic. And another thought was that we could designate outreach funds from Trinity to help build affordable housing somewhere where there's more space for it. So these are and the reason option A is in red is we kind of put a red light on that one. Option B is in yellow. We don't know. We'll look at it. And option C, we don't see any reason not to pursue that, assuming there's interest in pursuing it. So that's where we are on affordable housing, and I would appreciate people's feedback. So what do you think about A? What do you think about B? What do you think about C? I've never heard such silence at Elaine. Thanks.
Completely agree that option A is off the table. I like the idea of option B. I feel like option C might be nice in the future, but it takes us apart from this project, which has a lot. So something to put on the table later, maybe.
If we have the bandwidth. Thank you, Lynn. Marty?
I think I agree with what Elaine just said, but I don't really understand option C. Would we be doing this because we think Trinity should be doing something with regard to affordable housing? There are thousands of issues out there we could be doing something about. I don't necessarily see why we would choose this, other than the fact that it happened to come up when we were in this process.
So we have limited Care and Justice bandwidth. Does this belong as yet another program? We still have a creation care program that really isn't staffed yet, if anybody's super interested in that. I'll put a plug in. Anything else?
So now that we've been on Buildings and Grounds Committee, I agree with, option A. Option B, I think carefully about the managed part and who that's going to be as far as repair and maintenance.
That's why it's yellow. There are a
Yes.
lot. It's not a gimme
Yeah.
to just do that. Okay, anything else? Write us an email if you're,
Then one more.
oh,
I don't know where this falls, but church I attended previously went through the same dissertation like this, and they were thinking of building housing for the clergy on the site where the church was. And what came of that was they were worried that people would know that the rector was living on the campus and would be constantly barraged by people. So that's just a consideration, again, I don't know where that fits.
we actually have a rectory on our physical, that's part of our 2 acres. It's pretty well fenced off, and our congregation is, I think, pretty good about respecting the privacy of the rector. It has been mentioned that it might not be every associate rector's favorite idea to live upstairs in Montgomery House. It might be a little more togetherness. Okay, so I spent lots more than 1 minute on that slide, but that was really important. So if you're interested in option C, the person to talk to would be Katie. So if housing is where you feel called, then Katie would be looking for people to support that effort. And I really want to thank Katie, Daniel, and the Sour Wines for leading the effort to respond to this, because this came up at the January and subsequent meetings. Interest in affordable housing was expressed. The crowd raised their hand and said, yeah, I'd like to know more about that. Is this responsive to that request? Do you know what you need to know?
Yes. Raise your hand if you know what you need to know about.
Okay, and if you'd like to learn more, it's really phenomenal work. The next sort of critical path question is, who's going to live on our campus? So I think most of you are aware we currently have Trinity Church, we have Trinity School, the preschool portion of that, and we have the Child and Family Institute. So those are the 3 main institutions. There are others. AA uses our campus. There are others that use our campus. But these entities have assigned spaces and programs on our campus. So we can't responsibly do a plan for the year 2050 or even the year 2030 if we don't know who is living on our campus. So we're starting that discussion. The team, which you see here, is led by Lee Flesher, Nancy Blears is on it, Jude, Howard. They've sort of gathered the facts, you know, what do our contracts look like? What were we like historically? What are the current programs? And initial meetings have been held with both Trinity School and the Child and Family Institute. Both expressed a firm hope to stay on the Trinity campus, and both could envision future expansion in their programs and therefore a need for more program space. So we are very much, you know, this is just a work in progress. An important task is defining what the assessment criteria are. And part of the work that we're doing today, you know, defining what our mission is going to be for this time period, you know, we need to know what that is before we try to compare that to their missions and see how the alignment is, for example. So, a work in progress, and we hope to by sometime in the fall have clarity on that.
What is the benefit of having them on campus?
What is the benefit of having them on campus? Might want to record that as a question. I think I'll let Father Jude respond to that. Sorry, I'm done.
And Father Jude might pass it over to Lee. I'll answer one part and then I'll let Lee answer the other part. How's that? I would say it is a huge asset, in my opinion, to have children and families, that vision of the hub, here regularly, using our space and connecting to this place as a place of spiritual nourishment.
and meaning. This is an important part of the legacy of our identity as a parish, how we serve families. So to me, that's really, really important. There's a bunch of other stuff I could talk about, but Luke has really done a deep dive on this, so I would love to hear what she has to think.
Okay, a little bit of a stab. I would echo Jude that I think it would be kind of a sad thing if our campus was empty during the weeks. That doesn't answer specifically the school, but I do think the use of our property to serve programs like the school and perhaps CFI that's important. And then I guess the other thing I'd share, and I've done some research on this now, and really come to understand Trinity Church is Trinity School. We'll provide more detail about this, but Trinity Church has board representation. Jude and up to 3 members are on the board. Almost half the board is comprised of Trinity Church and St. Bede's people. And we started the school, and I think we perhaps have lost that close connection over recent years, but it's a fact. We are the school. And so that's a factor in what is our responsibility to that organization, of which we are an integral part. So those 2 things I would say are thoughts that I have about it at this point.
And I would just say I think it's the work of this subcommittee to contemplate this question. So we're not ready, I think. I think it's a little premature to bubble this up with the whole congregation right now. But we will. There's a lot of thinking going into it. Okay. We're not
I
going
want
to
to
do a
underscore
discussion.
what Josie just said. I did try to respond to the question, what might be relevant, considering that question, but it's open. And, feedback's welcome.
But CFI is also part of Trinity. And so many people that have been involved with Trinity are also involved over the years with CFI.
Yeah.
It's
And
a true legacy.
Absolutely. And that's
And
part
I
of the
think
work.
it would be very sad to see either of them displaced.
Yeah, we are very aware of the connections to the PCFI and Trinity Church as well. They're not structured in the same way legally, which is what Lee's a lawyer. But all of these things are being explored. I would encourage you, if you have thoughts about this, reach out to Lee. And she's going to be having conversations with folks across campus from different constituencies, including she or members of the team, including folks who are long-term supporters of CFI and have very strong thoughts about this. So it's a little premature to have this conversation. We didn't plan on it. We just wanted to let you know that this team is getting started and doing their work. And I would encourage you to reach out to the people on the subcommittee if you want to talk about it.
So we have 4 minutes left, and I'm going to be really fast now. The other subcommittee that I think you'll all be most interested in is the Sanctuary Renovation Subcommittee. So our church is 70 years old. It's served us very well, but if we're going to step back and take a long-term view, you talk about feeding our souls, and it's the center of our campus. So Jude is leading that effort, since canonically he is the person responsible for all things church. And you will all have ample opportunities to provide visioning and input and feedback on changes that get proposed about the church. The storage subcommittee is phenomenally, they're doing the dirty work. You heard from Charlotte about the 2,000 volumes. They were dusty. She's been working in the library for weeks. Allison Blank has been digging out the attic, so we thank the people who are making the most of the space we have. We have a welcoming subcommittee that is focused on sort of the Vision 2030. How do we put our best face forward to people on the outside, including the Parkline people. The Feasibility Subcommittee, a few people raised the question, well, what can we really do? So this is the responsibility of that committee to figure out what are the trade-offs. what can we really, where is the support in the parish for these various trade-offs? And what can we afford to do in the short, medium, and long term? So that's a very important effort, and we're actually interviewing consultants as we speak. So, to you all. So the people are the church. So the church is everybody here, and thank you, Fred, for reminding us that there are also a bunch of members who are not here. And we need to give some deeper thought to that. So your job, of course, is to stay informed, and there will be no shortage of communications. You know, you'll find it in the newsletter. Occasionally we're sending emails directly. They say they're from Trinity campus. Attending town hall meetings, thank you. What's really important, though, is the frank give and take. We really need to hear from you. We need your participation. We definitely don't expect everybody to agree with everything that ultimately gets decided. Many of us were involved in the effort to build the kitchen. Believe it or not, it was very controversial putting it over there. Or building Angus Hall, which required we take down a tree or two. So it's a guarantee that none of us is going to like everything. The goal is that most of us like most things, okay? And so we invite you to be very active members of that process. We have an email. There will be links to feedback forms on the website, whatever it is. The journey is to a future we make together. We really trust that the Holy Spirit will guide us all to the right place. And with the grace to know that it won't be perfect, but we're very privileged to know that we're going to thrive and survive in the environment. So thank you for coming. And if anybody has any feedback, we want to collect your cards before you lose them or before they get swept up. Any feedback on how to do the town hall more effectively to help you give us what you need to give us?